Hey, how are you? Turn the sound off. The trick is if I can remember to turn the sound back on after the meeting. Okay, you ready to go, Joanne? Okay, Ann, we're good?
Yep, I'm fine.
Okay, it is 6:33, and we will call the regular meeting of the East Bay Charter Township Board to order. And if you will begin with the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, and we'll do a roll call, and Sue did let us know that she's ill tonight and
Okay.
can't be here.
Bartlett.
Yes.
Matt Corte.
Here.
Lyle.
Here.
Walters. Cook.
Here.
And Friend.
Here.
And it's noted that Corte is absent and excused. S. Corte.
Okay. We'll take a look at the agenda for conflict of interest. We do have, on the consent agenda, the other items are just the meeting schedule and planning commission appointments. It's actually planning commission, not and Board of Appeals, so just planning commission. In the agenda, we have let me get that new agenda in front of me real quick. We have the Metro fire truck purchase financing, Department of Public Works cross-connection program, fire prevention ordinance introduction. We have the Peninsula Business Water Park, some water and sewer turnover of Stanley Jarrow, ROW Investments, automobile purchase trail system, which includes the 3 Mile Trail contract and Crimson Trail Development, Coastal Management Program grant, resolution, public hearing for the fiscal year 2026 budget, FOIA coordinator, and Lift Station 1 notice of intent to bond. So with that, is there any conflict of interest on the agenda? Okay, is there anything anyone would like removed from the agenda or placed on the agenda? Okay, is there a motion to approve the agenda as presented?
So moved.
Support.
Okay, there's a motion by Lyle and support by Cook to approve the agenda as presented. Any further discussion? All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed by no? Okay, the motion passes and we have an agenda. This is public comment. We have an opportunity for public comment. Is there anybody from the public who would like to comment? Okay, if there is not, seeing that there is not, I would like to take a second to present an award that we did not have the ability to honor somebody with at the Michigan Townships Association banquet this past year. So I will let Claire explain the award and present that.
Okay, so good evening. This is the Outstanding Development Award. This goes to Joe Lacricchio. He's the owner with JLG Properties and also a partner with Elmbrook Bayview TC, and he's here with his family. So Bayview TC, as many of you are aware, that was 216 units. It was much-needed housing in East Bay Township that's been put in. It's at virtually 100% occupancy. It was a nice mix of housing options, duplex, quadplex, as well as apartments. And then moving forward, Joe and his team have been working to develop the Elmbrook parcel, originally envisioned to be purely a housing development, but based on community input and feedback, has kind of working to preserve the golf course. And so keeping that open to the public while still developing some mix of housing surrounding it. So they have made also substantial investment in the Elmbrook Public Golf Course over the last several years. If any of you are golfers, you've likely seen those improvements. And then also we're excited to continue to work with Joe and his team on the public infrastructure side. They've extended the sewer, the water, looking at potential improvements to that intersection as the residential development moves forward, as well as the trail connections. We're excited to make sure that we've got the trail connection. They've already put the pathway in front of Bayview, but that will be continued all the way to our safe routes to school infrastructure. So just making sure we've got that multimodal connection. So with that, wanted to present this award to Joe Lacricchio. Thank you.
We're grateful as a partnership to receive this, number one, but also to work with the board, supervisor friend of the board over these years. I can't believe it's already been 6 years or whatever since we started this. And Mindy's laughing because she remembers every bit of it, being on the planning commission and the board. So, but it's been great. It's been a great working relationship, and we are excited about our next phases. We think 2026, for sure 2027, but 2026 we think will be the start of the next phase, which is 203 units. Does not affect the golf course, as you know, from the previous site plan approval. And regardless, like Claire said, our intent right now is to maintain golf. Really in probably an 18-hole format of golf. If we compromise holes of the golf course via the development, we have the 66 acres to the south where we can put golf back. And we actually had an extensive plan done by a very well-known golf course architect that integrated golf with the next phases of development. And so we're really pushing to maintain that 18-hole. We consider Elmbrook to be an institution in the community, and we really are striving to maintain that. And, golf's an okay business. It's not a great business because Mother Nature tells you what's going to happen, basically. And it's very expensive. We need a new irrigation system. A new irrigation system is $1 million to $2 million. So it's a huge investment that you have to make, and it takes a long time to recoup, but we're looking at all that. And so, again, we're grateful to the community and the township and all the consultants and everything else. It's been a really great experience for us, and we look forward to continuing that. So thank you very much for this on behalf of me and my partners.
That's fantastic. Joe, we want to thank you, too. You're a good, level-headed developer to work with, and we really appreciate that, and so much appreciate the recognition of the institution of the golf course there.
Yeah.
That is amazing, and that's not what you originally intended, but I remember
No,
you said
not
to
by any
me
means. It's
that opportunity doesn't come around that often, and we really appreciate it.
Yeah, well, thank you.
I
Thank you very
remember
much.
when we pushed, and then he said, well, maybe we'll keep 9 holes.
Right.
Maybe we'll keep 7 holes, and to hear that we're 18 is
That's where we're at. I mean, and
huge
we,
difference, and it's really great.
yeah, thank you, thank you. We continue to make investments towards that, right? Otherwise, we be going the other way. So, yeah, thank you, appreciate it.
Appreciate it. Thank
Okay.
you.
Thanks so much.
Congratulations on the award.
Appreciate it.
Okay, thank you. We will move on to correspondence and reports. You do have the traditional correspondence and reports in your packet. If you have any questions, let me know, let us know. And with that, we'll move on to the consent agenda. If you would like to review that, Ann.
Certainly. The purpose of the consent agenda is to expedite business by grouping non-controversial items together to be dealt with by one board motion without discussion. Any member of the board, staff, or the public may ask that any item on the consent agenda be removed and placed elsewhere on the agenda for full discussion. Such requests will be automatically respected. If any item is not removed from the consent agenda, the action noted in parentheses on the agenda is approved by a single board action adopting the consent calendar. This evening you have minutes, November 10th, 2025, regular meeting, and November 20th, 2025, special meeting. Recommend approval. From the general fund, check numbers 19974 through 20023, the amount of $80,125.24, with check number 19921 previously approved. The Emergency Fund, check number 6085 through 6097, paid in the amount of $65,279.40. The Receiving Fund, check numbers 3005 through 3007, paid in the amount of $361,068.96. Escrow Fund, check numbers 2118 through 2122 for $2,758.02. Roads SAD Fund, no checks issued. There were 2 payrolls. The first one, November 2nd through November 15th, check number 7978 through 7981, totaled $80,309.01. And the payroll dated November 16th through the 29th, check number 7982 through 7984, totaled $84,134.89. Total payroll, $164,443.90. Total amount paid, $673,675.52. There are no proposed budget adjustments, and we have 2 other items: the 2026 Township Board meeting schedule and Planning Commission reappointments.
Correct. All right, very good. Would anybody from the board like anything removed off the consent agenda? Would anyone from the public like anything removed? Okay, we'll bring it back for consideration of a motion to the board. Is there a motion for the consent agenda as presented? I will note that the resolution for the other item of the 2026 meeting schedule would be Resolution 2025-31. Is there a motion?
Make a motion to approve the consent agenda with the resolution 2025-31.
Support.
Okay, there's a motion by Bartlett and support by Cook. Any further discussion? Okay, we'll do a roll call.
Bartlett,
Yes.
Cook,
Yes.
Walters.
Yes.
M. Cortade,
Yes.
Lyle.
No.
Did I call the Bartlett?
Friend.
And Friend, okay.
Yes, those items are approved. Thank you. With that, we'll move to the business before the Township Board. We do have an agenda item that was added this morning. Thank you, Chief, for correcting me and giving me a heads up. So that item, agenda has been added to the packet online, as well as you have it on your desk in front of you. If you would just come on and step up. And it looks like we've got the agenda, the resolution in front of us from Metro, and I know you'll want to share with us your financing intention.
Yeah, thank you, Paul Mackin, Metro Fire. The engine that's proposed, essentially this is approving the purchase, and we're addressing the financing, since there would be the financial obligation to the townships through resolution at each of the townships. But essentially, we're in the process of ordering an engine. This engine is a replacement of a 1993 engine. It's within our apparatus replacement schedule. This is, we're calling it Engine 28 because that's when it would be delivered, so it's fiscal year 28. Following that, the next engine in on our apparatus plan at this point in time would be fiscal year 31. This engine, the intent, as we implemented with our apparatus replacement schedule, the intent, as you can see in your resolution, is the purchase price, we would put down 40%. We want to continue that practice, 40% down at time of payment, and then finance 60%. That financing has been factored in our debt obligation schedule all the way through fiscal year 35, so it falls in line. We do actually have, by the time that we actually incur that loan in 28, we will have had 3 different loans drop off. So we will actually, we'll be picking one up later this year, that's in the schedule. Because if you do recall, we did order the ladder truck, which will be coming in '26, so we'll be financing that, and that we're also putting at minimum the 40% down. As far as the purchase price is just over $1 million. It's crazy to think that that's where they're at nowadays. But there's always a potential, a little bit more room for us to work with that number, maybe just get it just under $1 million when we actually do our pre-construction conference, if we need to make any changes. But that's an all-encompassing price. We also have the potential of looking, as we get a little bit closer, at some potential prepayment discounts. We had done that with the ladder truck. It was worthwhile. We had the money that we were going to be putting down anyway. By putting it down ahead of time, we were able to reduce, save some money and reduce that price. So those are all the things that we look at. It's sometimes hard to think that we're planning for fiscal year '28, but we have to order it now because, well, not now, but we have to order it because the expected turnaround time for this particular engine is anywhere from 30 and a half to 33 months. So that gets us delivery in summer, fall of '28.
Okay, very good. So you do have a resolution for your consideration in the packet. That would be Resolution 2025-32. Let's see. This would resolve that the township commits its financial resources to the expenditure in accordance with Metro's Articles of Incorporation and subject to final approval of appropriate loan documents by Metro. Are there any questions for Chief Mackin? Go ahead.
The loan wouldn't actually be incurred until 2028.
Right, yeah, we'll start shopping, probably first quarter. We'll start reaching out to, our contacts and just start seeing, but we really probably won't solidify the loan until probably summer. We'd be kind of working that, comparing rates, because usually the lenders will give us rate quotes maybe 30 or more days out. So, yeah, summertime we'd be shopping. But we certainly would start, reaching out and letting people know, hey, we're going to be looking for this loan, just to kind of hopefully get the best competitive rates that we can get.
The Articles of Incorporation require that if there's going to be financing beyond 1 year with Metro, that it goes to 3 township boards and that we have concurrence from those boards. So Metro will want that before they get too far down the process, and so that's the point we're at right now. Any other questions?
Did that answer your question about the financing? Yeah, okay.
If there's did you have anything to add, Glenn?
Nope.
All right. Well, if there are no other questions, is there anyone who would put forth a motion for adoption of Resolution 2025-2?
So moved.
Second.
So that is offered by Lyle and supported by M. Cortade. Okay, is there any further discussion? Okay, Ann, we'll do a roll call vote.
Lyle?
Yes.
M. Cortade? Cook?
Yes.
Walters?
Yes.
Bartlett?
Yes.
And Friend.
Yes. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Okay, and with that, we will move on to the Department of Public Works, the Cross Connection Program. And Noah, sorry, I told you were first, but I made an amendment this morning, so. But Noah is here with us. He is the director of the DPW, and he's going to go over the Cross Connection Program and the information in front of you. How are you?
Doing well, thank you, Supervisor.
Thanks. And thanks for bringing your crew with you.
Oh, you betcha, a little
They're good
last-minute
sports.
switcheroo, little civic exposure for them. So the item I have in your packet, I'm going to start with the end. I'm asking for your adoption of this program as it affects your water system, but I'm going to give a little bit of background as to why this document exists and why I'm bringing it to you today. So I'm going to tell you something you already know. You own a water system and you have the DPW operate and maintain it for you. Ownership of that system requires you to have a cross-connection control program, which is the document in your packet. Revisions were initiated by the Michigan Department of Eagle through a routine survey that they called a sanitary survey review. Not sanitary sewer, but sanitary survey review. So they had recently reviewed the plan compliance for Elmwood Township, Garfield Township, and Acme Township. The review of Peninsula and East Bay will follow later this month. One item that they identified in the review of those 3 previous townships is out-of-date cross-connection control programs. East Bay, yours will come, you will have your time, you will be given a compliance deadline, but you're in a good spot. You're not there yet. You're ready to exceed that compliance deadline by adopting that plan, but it's not urgent. It's not being held over your head. So what this plan is and what it revises is an old cross-connection control program that you had, and it was simply dated. Instead of referring to Michigan Eagle, it refers to, in some places, the Michigan Department of Environmental Quality. It updates contact information, and we've coalesced the plan. We have one singular plan instead of 5 versions for the 5 different townships. Other than that, it really is a functional update. It doesn't commit the township to do anything that it hasn't already been doing under its old plan. But as far as those things that the plan does require you to perform through the DPW, a cross-connection is a point in the water system where the safe, potable municipal supply meets the process supply. So the simplest example of that is in your own residence, if you have lawn irrigation, you probably have a backflow prevention device connected to your irrigation system. That's a cross-connection point, and that needs to be inspected at your home every 10 years by the department, and that's identified in the plan. If you're a major industrial user, I'm going to go outside of your township, but Sara Lee Bakery, very large operation, complicated operation, that needs to be inspected once every year as a high hazard user. The remainder of the commercial facilities fall out on the once every 5-year frequency. So what I am looking for is East Bay's adoption of this plan. We will then go forward and implement it with, the revisions don't really change what we are doing, but they are important to keep pace, and they are important to keep in compliance with Eagle. It's not imperative that you adopt this plan today. If there are questions or concerns, I can come back again at a later meeting. But I would recommend your adoption sooner rather than later to stay ahead of that Eagle compliance curve. And I'm happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
Great. Any questions for Noah? Okay. Is the board comfortable then with offering a motion to approve the East Bay Charter Township Grand Traverse County Cross Connection Program for publicly owned water systems?
I'll make the motion.
Okay.
Support.
Motion is made by M. Cortain and supported by Cook. Is there further discussion? Okay, we'll do a roll call vote, Ann.
M. Corte? Yes. Cook?
Yes.
Walters?
Yes.
Bartlett?
Yes.
Lyle?
Yes.
Friend?
Yes. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Have a good evening. Okay, with that, we'll move on to the fire prevention ordinance introduction. How are you? This is Assistant Chief Brian Belcher, as you guys all know, who is the fire marshal.
Yes. Good evening, everybody. So tonight's meeting is just the introduction, and then we'll have another meeting in a month or so where we are requesting adoption of the new ordinance. Basically, what we're doing, we're updating the current ordinance adopted the 2015 fire code, and we're updating to the 2024, which is the most recent. We did the last ordinances are dated like 2018. So that's really what the ordinance does, is it adopts this fire code, which is, as you can see, extensive and deals with the operation and maintenance of existing facilities and new facilities as they are proposed, developed, and built. This is the document we use to framework that those are safe buildings, safe developments, and all that. Does anybody have any questions at this time about the ordinance? Would you like me to go through it now as well as next month, it's,
So we will.
Whatever the board's
This is
pleasure.
the introduction, and so if you approve to introduce this, then it will be noticed with publication. And then we will see it back again before us, probably at the January meeting. And I'm just realizing we didn't put I think we did a resolution at Metro, didn't we? But we'll do that with the next, and included in the next packet, you'll see a resolution from the Metro Board recommending approval by the townships.
yes.
So one thing I would like to say is Brian has put a tremendous amount of time into this. We didn't, I hope you're glad we didn't include the book in the packet. We just linked a reference to it. But that's a lot.
I was impressed that was in there.
Yeah.
That's impressive.
So-
You're the ones that have done that.
So should you want to read the entire 700, I don't know how many pages, whatever it
I couldn't
is.
even tell you. It's-
We're gonna have a test next week on it.
Yeah, I mean, you're pretty close, there's like 655.
I thought you might have said that at the last meeting. But, so that is what we are adopting, is that book. And then what you have in the packet, which starts on page 42 through the next couple pages, these are exceptions or things that are outside of that, or things that we're doing a little bit differently than that.
Yeah, so the ordinance, has the language where you're adopting the 2024 International Fire Code. And then there's local exceptions that we pull out that address local needs or things that we want to do locally. Some of the big ones have always been the open burning provisions. We've always tweaked those locally. There's a tweak in it this time as well. As well as just some other things that provide for, a good, safe community, protects, our citizens, our firefighters, and those kind of things. So I can go through those now, go through those next month.
Yeah. What's the board's
Anybody-
pleasure? Would you like to go through anything now, or would you like to wait as it's introduced to the public, and they may have questions, they may come here at the next meeting. You could ask questions then. What's your pleasure?
I've got a question now. if that's Okay.
Go ahead.
Absolutely.
I think it's on page 46 of the packet. You said that obviously this is the notes that we have here are kind of a condensed, I guess, list of exceptions to the 2024 fire code.
I wouldn't say it's condensed. I mean, this is your actual ordinance. Is the I think it's 6 pages plus the attachment A.
Okay.
So it's not really condensed, but there are sections that are pulled out that are specifically within the ordinance.
Oh, so this is our current ordinance here for the township?
This is the proposed
Oh, okay. Okay.
issuing, adopting the 2024.
Okay, so this section 507.1.2, the areas without water supply systems,
Yes.
does this apply to single-family residential?
No.
It doesn't?
No. The only thing in the fire code that really applies to single-family residences is residential developments. So this code is really commercial, industrial, public assembly,
Okay.
those kind of things. The only thing that this really addresses, single-family, is, like I say, developments,
Okay.
where it talks about things like turnarounds and length of roads.
Sure.
And the maximum amount of single-family dwellings you can have within a development before you need a second means of egress.
Okay.
And that kind of thing.
Okay, well, that was really
Yep.
my only comment.
Yeah, no, it does not apply to single-family dwellings.
Okay.
Yeah, because while 3,600 square feet is pretty substantial, it's pretty easy to get over 3,600 square feet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that would be quite the investment.
Well, I know it's a big debate in Michigan right now, obviously, like in Lansing, there's talk about adopting an updated fire code that would drive single-family homes to have fire sprinkler in.
Yes.
And obviously, that wouldn't do a whole lot for, cost of housing in this area.
Yeah, it's not as expensive as what, the numbers that are sometimes thrown around. I've built 2 homes, I have fire sprinklers in them, and it really was not that expensive. But that's
You
probably-
should, or we
that's
were
probably
gonna
a debate
admonish
for
you.
another day. I believe in them, but, yeah, this does not have anything to do with that. Yeah.
Any other questions? Okay, then I think we will, if there is a motion to introduce the 2024 East Bay Township, I'm sorry, not 2024, the East Bay Township Fire Prevention Ordinance, then we will get a synopsis of that published.
Or,
Let me move to make that.
Yeah.
Okay, is there
I'll
support?
it.
you get me all confused here.
Okay, there is a motion by Lyle and support by Bartlett to introduce the East Bay Township Fire Prevention Ordinance. Okay, are there any further discussions? No? All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed by no? Okay, great. So we
Great,
will have that
thank you.
back on. Does January work for you? Okay.
Yep.
All right, sounds good. Well, thank you both for being here. Appreciate it. Okay, with that, we're going to move on to Peninsula Business Water Park. This starts on page 48 in your packet. Glenn can probably add a lot to this topic as well. This is a long-standing issue. I know before I took office, Glenn was, when he was supervisor and I was supervisor-elect, he and I and Brian Souza with Wade Trim met with the developer's son, and you see the information through that. That was, that letter, hold on one second, let me see, 48, 49. So that was a letter from Wade Trim, November 3rd of 2016, which referenced some of the previous communication. Also, we've got the December 2016 response to that, and then it goes forward all the way to January 11th of 2024 from Brian Souza, where he's, offered some potential ways to address the water deficiency for fire suppression in this area of the industrial park. So when the developer was here just a few weeks ago, what he asked is that the township put in the water coming down from where it ends on 4 Mile Road, which is just south of US 31, that the township bring it down further. I think there's a map in here. There is. There's a map on page 62. That the township would extend the water along the blue dotted line, and then the developer would bring it back in down Glendale to the back of the business park. So as you can see, the developer definitely feels that there was a commitment from, I'm not saying that there is, I'm saying the developer feels that there was a commitment from the township on October 30th, 1999, when the developer had met with the previous supervisor, Joe Bartko, and Wayne Hanna with the fire department. And he feels that the number 3, where it says the township would plan to extend the water system on 4 Mile Road south to Glendale and then west and so forth, as a commitment. So with that, we'll open up to any questions or comments. Glenn, go ahead if you'd like to start.
Yeah, we went through this back quite a few years ago. The thing was that even though the previous supervisor said that they were going to look at putting it in, it was never brought to the board, and the board never approved it. And a supervisor has to go through a board to approve something like this. Now, what my understanding was, they put a 12-inch water main in for phase 1 of the business park, and then they decided, or maybe it was planned at the time, to put a Phase 2 in after Phase 1 was done. And coming from our previous engineers, they said that they were told that there was going to be no more after Phase 2. And so they dropped down to a 8-inch, I think, water main. Well, then, lo and behold, down the road, they decided to put a third phase in. So then they went, I think, to a 12-inch air, so what you're only going to get as much water through that 12-inch pipe as that 8-inch pipe's going to allow. So it became a problem. And we discussed it, we went down there, and it was my understanding that the Phase 1 and Phase 2 was all there was, and it probably would have worked fine for that. Metro had been down there also, I believe. But I assume from what I read, they're asking the township to put in the water to service their park, not them paying it, but,
That they're asking the township to pay the portion that's in blue on page 62.
yeah.
And then they will take it from the new end at the corner of Glendale Street and 4 Mile and move that west to the backside of their industrial development.
Don't they want us to pay for it going down Glendale as well?
No, they will pay for that portion.
Now, I'm not sure, because I'm not an engineer, whether they could take that 8-inch out and put a 12-inch in, if that would supply enough water for them or not. But I don't believe that it's a township's financial responsibility to fix something that was put in and agreed upon when it was put in. And it was put in, my understanding, that there was going to be no Phase 3. It wasn't even talked about.
Well, there are options that were outlined by the engineer at the bottom of page 58 in the January 11th letter of 2024, and there were 5 different options there. And number 4 is the one that you mentioned, which would be to replace the 8-inch water main with a 12-inch diameter water main.
Okay.
And it does say further that they're not sure that this would be the full solution. There may need it to be additional technical changes as well. So it's for the board's pleasure. Are there questions for me or for Glenn? I did not have Wade Trim here specifically for this. We can as well. I told the developer that I would bring this to the board in December or January. I've done that, and so if you have further questions and you would like the engineer here, he will be here at the January board meeting for an update. But I think, and that's perfectly fine to do, though I will say I think the options will remain the same, and the request from the developer remains the same.
The only question I have is, and with Metro sitting here, maybe they can answer, is where do you feel is this a necessary thing as far as fire prevention goes, or they don't have coverage, enough coverage down there with what they've got?
Yeah, Brian, and you've met with Raffitts on several occasions as well.
Yeah, I've been involved in this issue for a very long time. So the water pressure and the volume in the back of the park is extremely low, to the point where essentially they can't even get sprinkler systems designed to work back there. There were some agreements in place between Metro Fire and the developer to where that have been changed a couple times over the years. Originally, it was all buildings beyond a certain point, and I don't know if it's Phase 2, Phase 3, I don't know where that line was, I don't remember. Had to have sprinkler system in them regardless of size, regardless of anything. And then here, several years ago, we modified that with a size requirement. Essentially, you couldn't build a 20 by 20 office building. It had to have sprinklers. And as Metro has evolved with better staffing, quicker response times, we modified that a little bit. And then a year or two ago, we modified it again with our better staffing, our better response times. We modified it again in the developer's favor. But they definitely have a problem in the back of the park. If it's a give or take. If a sprinkler system's going off, there really isn't any water for us to use out of the hydrants because the water pressure is so low, and vice versa. If we use it to take the water out of the hydrants, then we're robbing it from the sprinkler system. And so, not speaking on his behalf, I'm a neutral person in this, for the most part, but he can't sell the kind of buildings he wants to sell because he doesn't have the water.
Does it create a true safety concern, though? That's where I'm curious at. In your opinion? Okay.
Yeah, does it? Yeah, would better water be much better for everybody, us, and existing buildings that are in there and future buildings? Absolutely.
Because, if the system as is tends to work, then we have a whole issue on the other side. But
yeah.
If it isn't, then maybe we have some concerns to at least discuss it.
What's there works, but it's very, very, very marginal.
It's on there.
Yeah.
And it's the future lots that they can't do because it's expensive for those who were to purchase those lots.
Yeah. From what he said in our meeting, he has some clients that want to build certain buildings. There's not the water to enable that, to even design the sprinkler systems, so.
Thank you.
And on that, because of the types of buildings, the types of use, they would have probably a more extensive requirement than, say, an office building, right?
Sure, yep. Yeah, it's, that back part is very industrial. So, higher water demands and higher domestic demands too, which also factors in and takes away from firefighting water as well.
Correct me if I'm wrong, one of those buildings, and I can't remember which business, already has a pretty extensive fire
Like on-site suppression?
on-site system in their building, don't they? I remember, I'm trying to remember if it
Yes,
was
it's-
my planning commission days or.
Yeah, it's the one
Is it
right here.
Quantum Sales?
It's the one right here on the corner.
There's not anything that's standalone. I mean, they all have, the required sprinkler systems that the building code requires, building and fire code require, that are tied into the municipal, so there's not anything back there where it is possible where if the municipal isn't capable of providing that they would have to provide that separate and individually from the municipal water service. So they might have to put no different than you would if you're in an area without water and you want to build a building that requires sprinklers, you would have to have a large on-site tank and a fire pump.
I think that building does.
I thought one did.
Yeah.
I know I toured Quantum Sales way back, probably when they first opened, but
That building, when it expanded, we were in it, and they have.
maybe. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm just,
Maybe,
because I think.
Maybe I'm just not remembering it, but it's
Yeah.
possible, sure.
Okay.
There's cobwebs up there.
Well, mine too, but.
I don't recall if they built it or if they were just talking about it, but I do remember something about that as well.
I
Yeah.
remember seeing one. It could have been in my other life, though.
And, there's buildings that may have a fire pump that is tied to the municipal in order to boost the pressure.
I just
But may
remember
not
this
have the
was like a
standalone
huge thing in their
self-supporting
building.
water tank. So, there's all kinds of different ways to deal with those issues, so.
Well, thank you, appreciate that.
Sure.
I appreciate the time that you've taken with the developer as well.
Yeah.
As every time we've called, Brian's been available to meet and talk through any solutions, so I appreciate that. What is the board's pleasure?
Talking about cobwebs, like just a little history. I was on the board in '99, and it was brought up, but it was one of those little, my memory is it was just a short, brief kind of introduction, like this might be coming, and then never heard it from again. So, yeah, the board never moved forward with it, but it was there.
I never found anything when I went through the minute books.
There were a lot of things that's not in the minutes.
Do we need to make a motion to put this thing to rest once and for all?
I do feel like for the developer's sanity and for our resources, because we have met several times with the developer, and we've engaged the engineer to do so as well. So, however the board would like to proceed. I'm fine, if you want to do the project, do the project. If you don't want to do the project, we will not do the project, and I'll convey that to the developer. Just, let me know what the board.
Well, it's just, it seems like every 10 years or something, this crops up. And the letter that, all that. And I think we probably just need to put it to rest once and for all, so people down the road that sits on this board,
And so that it's in the minutes that we've put it to rest, at least as far as the board's concerned.
Yeah. I'm not totally against the concept of running the water down 4 Mile, but that will be at our choosing what time and where.
Right.
As far as some developer wanting it, they can pay for it, just like any time else.
Well, I would agree with that. Proactively putting infrastructure in certain places is economic development.
Right.
And water in this area is not a far stretch. However, I don't know how much of that would spur future development on the parcels that it's reaching. I
that's
think
pretty wet land down through
It's
there.
still gonna need more, yeah.
Where is this piece on our capital improvement plan that?
This is not on there. Yeah. There is no proactive extension of the water system on the capital improvement plan. It's improvement, it's, maintenance, those types of things. That's something that we can explore if that's what the board would, like I said, choose to want to do.
Didn't we have Wade Trim go through and say, okay, if we were gonna have development, these are the size of the pipes?
We have a
that
master
need?
utility plan.
Okay, just, that doesn't prioritize those pipes at all.
I did not go back and look through it, but I do not recall. I think it would talk more areas. Do you remember, Claire? You've looked through that before, too.
Yeah, I don't think, it does not get that.
Yeah.
And then my next question is, does this 12-inch match that master utility plan at all?
I don't know the answer to that. I would assume that it does because Wade Trim priced it and suggested it, so it would likely go with the infrastructure that is there. And I do believe that that is a 12-inch main above it.
It would be. Otherwise, if you put it at 8-inch, it's the same problem.
Yeah,
Yeah.
indeed.
Maybe they need a 14-inch, I don't know.
Well, yeah.
That's why
I gotcha.
it could be needing a 20-inch for goodness sakes. I don't know, that's what doesn't match.
Right, but didn't Wade Trim specify?
As part of the solutions?
Yeah. No, I
It
can't
most certainly could be.
find it.
That
They
was
say
on page
12-inch
58.
diameter.
He doesn't say that in the options, he just talks about extending the water main up 4 Mile
Yeah,
to
but in his
Glendale.
preliminary engineering estimate, it says construction of a 12-inch diameter
Yep,
water main on the westernly side of 4 Mile.
yep, and that's on the map too. So I would, like I said, I would think that would be consistent with the infrastructure that's installed and what would match the master utility plan.
I've got one question, just so I understand a little bit more. So the business park actually comes off of 3 Mile, right?
It does, it's over here. This is the back of the business park.
What size is the main along 3 Mile?
We looked at bringing it in through 3 Mile, and I don't believe, do you remember, Brian? Here, that's number 2. Extend the water main along International Drive west to 3 Mile Road and make a connection to the existing water main on 3 Mile. It's similar to option number 1, but doing this will provide a water main loop and help increase pressure and volume. So that's one as well. I think the developer had requested this out of those options, and he was supplied with those options for a year, almost a year, and requested from me that the township consider partnering on that project and following through on what he feels is a commitment from 1999 and pay for the part along 4 Mile. Yeah, Claire?
I was just going to make one clarification. I did just take a look at that master plan map that they have. So they do indicate a 12-inch main going up 4 Mile, but don't specify the connection to the business park.
Okay, thank you.
I guess where my question was going is that 8-inch main is what serves the business park currently, right?
Phase 2.
Well, phase 2, phase 1 was 12-inch main.
Goes 12, 8, 12, that's the problem.
Yeah.
Constricts down in the middle.
And I'm assuming that they already had in their planning to do a phase 2, and that was going to be, my understanding, the end of it. So rather than a 12-inch for the second phase, they figured an 8-inch would take care of it.
And then they decided to put in another phase and so the 12-inch went in. But it's not really serving, they could have just put an 8-inch in because it doesn't really serve
Right.
the purpose of a 12-inch. And that's why the number 4 is in there, is the other option is to take out the 8-inch and put in the 12-inch. We've also talked about special assessment districts with him and let him know that that's a potential for financing. And there was no interest in moving forward with any type of a special assessment district.
Who would have, just curious, who would have dictated that 8-inch main? That would have been a design engineer, right?
Well, I think knowing how I see things go through today, I mean, things that are proposed by developers have to meet our ordinance,
Sure.
right? But we also have things that are suggested, that they want to put in. If it actually, I don't know, I was not there historically, but it actually tracks and makes sense if they were saying, hey, that's the end of the development. Well, okay, go ahead and put in an 8-inch line because you won't need it to go any further.
Right.
Because otherwise, I don't believe that they probably would have allowed that. But I can't say, I wasn't there at the time, and I'm not even sure, I think that was probably GFA with Kerry Lucius, who was the engineer at that time.
And I think it's probably cheaper to go to the 8-inch than it was put a 12-inch
And many times developers will ask for something like that, given this set of facts on this property, will you allow us to do X, Y, Z? And if it serves that purpose and that's their intent,
Right.
But somehow when they came for the phase 3, nobody said, oh, wait a minute, there's only an 8-inch line there that we're hooking into. I mean,
And maybe they did,
potentially,
maybe
or
they did, and they said they could take care of it with different types of
Right.
fire suppression.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Which is probably that 1999 letter.
Don't we have an ordinance, is it 109, ordinance 109, that talks about a distance that they can, it's like a half mile, within a half mile they have to hook up?
That's with, well, it depends what you're talking about, but that's with sewer.
Just sewer?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Actually, that 109 is being retweaked because of some
Yeah.
of the gaps in the language, and that is a gap that we found a bit ago. where it should say water and sewer, they just bypassed it with all of the information on the sewer.
Yeah, because I remember back in the 90s when they talked about it, I mean, the attorney didn't like the language that was in the original, which was at reasonable distance. What the heck's a reasonable
Yeah,
distance?
well, that's reason.
So then, originally, they made the whole, within the whole urban growth boundary, you had to have water and sewer, period, if you were in development.
So
Then
if-
that got changed again in 2004 or something.
It does say that, like, if it's a new system, right? If it's a new system. But where they forgot to leave out the water is if it's a replacement system and so forth. It's, again, a little convoluted, and there's no direction to the attorneys to change anything. The direction is just, can you clean this up so this is, doesn't have some of the gaps in it.
Kind of agree with Glenn, I think we should just put this thing to bed.
And how would you like to do that? Would you like to take an action to do that? I'm happy to convey whatever the board's will is.
I'd like to, a vote on it. I'm sorry this happened to the construction company, but, just because somebody told them something, didn't have the authority to carry it through, that isn't anything that East Bay Township's responsible for. So I think I'd just make a motion that we've discussed it and determined that it's the contractor's obligation, not East Bay Township's.
Is there support for the motion?
Support.
A motion is made by Lyle, supported by M. Cortade, to not fund the requested water extension along 4 Mile Road at the township's expense, and that it would be the developer's
Financial responsibility.
Do you have that, Ann? Mm-hmm. Very good. Anything further, any other questions? Any other further discussion? Okay, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed by no? Okay, that motion passes. Well, thank you for consideration of that, appreciate that. We will move on to the ROW Investments, Stan Giroux, Water and Sewer Turnover. You have a letter in here from Wade Trim that lists the, yeah, thank you very much. Have a good evening, be careful out there.
Yeah.
Okay. That was a good thing you did, thanks, Brian, appreciate it.
Get hurt on that snowmobile.
So this is, we're looking at a motion to approve the acceptance of the water and sanitary system improvements for ROW Investments, Stanley and Jarrow Apartments, as detailed in Exhibit A, attached to the letter, December 1st, 2025 letter from Wade Trim. Okay, this is a multifamily development that's going in at the corner of Maplewood and Holiday Hills. Are there any questions on this structure turnover?
Question. I'm not sure who put this in, but when somebody does this, who does the testing on it?
The testing, we inspect it.
Okay, and we inspected that then, okay.
Yeah, they pay for the inspection and Wade Trim does the inspection
Okay.
through the process.
I make a motion that we accept the water and sanitary sewer improvements for road investments.
Okay, is there support?
Support.
Motion made by Bartlett and supported by Lyle. Any further discussion? Okay, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed by no? Motion passes. We will move on to the automobile purchase. Let's see, Ryan went back and looked through Michigan Deal. He has a synopsis here for you. He contacted some of the MI Deal partners and has outlined the information that he got back and is putting forth the 3 attachments. along with a request to approve the 2025 Ford Bronco Sport purchase, which would be through, that is the cost for the Bronco Sport through Fox's bid, which was less than the Sarah bid, but the MI deal did not respond for that vehicle. Other questions? Is there a motion?
Make a motion to approve the purchase of the 25 Ford Bronco Sport for $34,000? Is it, the purchase is $32,782 with a total of $34,000 for the additional items.
Correct. Okay, is there support? Okay, there's a motion by Cook and support by Bartlett. Any further discussion?
Well, the only thing I'd like to say is, I run the numbers, and it doesn't matter, but I would certainly like to see us establish a policy on use,
Unused? Sure. That makes good sense.
so we know who has, however you do it, but otherwise we don't fall into these situations. The clerk just took a 4-day retreat she could have used the vehicle, but if it interferes with someone else, you got to have some kind of policy
Yeah.
that sets precedent.
Sure, that sounds fine. I think, I will say additionally, the intent is that this is primarily used by assessing we have to do 20% field work every year. So that's the primary driver for this purchase. But I'll also say, we plan on using this as well with Nathan Burns in his position. He's been out in the field quite a bit too. So, going to the different parks and so forth. And he can use the truck though, when Randy is not working. But Randy has been available quite a bit, so, But those are the two primary reasons for using it. Oh, I will throw in there too, our zoning administrator, when he goes out for inspections or so I actually don't know how much we will use it on stuff like I'm going to the DNR Trust Fund tomorrow for Wednesday. I don't know how much we would use it.
And that's fine, I understand, but you just mentioned 3 different people that might
Yep,
have, so you
yep.
should have a policy dictating.
And logistically, what we plan on doing is Taylor is planning on setting up a calendar page for that so that it can be, noted if there's certain things. And then if there's nothing on it and something pops up, like an enforcement, obviously, that's usable. So, did we vote on it or did we just do the?
Just discussion.
Okay, so any further discussion? Yeah, Mindy?
A possible motion has this plus or minus 5%. I did not hear that in the motion, I just wanted to confirm that.
Yeah, so the purchase price at $32,782, with the plus or minus 5% to get to $34,000.
I think he has it estimated at 34,000 plus or minus 5%.
Oh, plus or minus 5%.
Yep.
I got you.
Yep.
So that's what I heard. That's
Okay.
what's written.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right.
I think the difference between the 32 and the 32,782.25 were the difference, or some of those additional items. That's where I looked at that. I know he was thinking, he wanted to make sure that the tires were good for snow, and interior mats, like the floor liner mats, that sort of thing. So, okay, so we're fine with the motion as it's stated here? Matt?
I'm good
Okay.
with it, yeah.
Okay, and Bartlett supported? Okay. Any further discussion? Okay, we'll do a roll call vote. Ann?
Cook.
Yes.
Bartlett. Walters. M. Cortade. Lyle.
Yes.
And Friend.
Yes. Okay, thank you. We'll move on to the trail system. We have first before us the TART and 3 Mile Trail contract amendment, and we do have Elizabeth Calcutt here with TART, and we also have Claire Carner here, our planner. So thank you for being here, Elizabeth. How are you?
Good evening, great.
She looks very well rested as a new mom, doesn't she?
Thanks, she's sleeping. right now, I just jinxed that. Okay, well, I'm here, I think the last time we were here was with amendment number 4. We're here for amendment number 5, and this is to get us through final design completion and to take Phase 2 to completion 2. So this is for the 2 phases, Phase 1, from where the current terminus of the 3-mile trail is all the way to the Conservancy existing trailhead, and then Phase 2 continuing all the way down to Hammond. And again, just getting us through final design, getting us through the permitting process, and then for a second TAP application for Phase 2. So all of the document preparation that would be entailed for that. As far as it laid out in front of you with costs, so this is over. We've gone beyond what our MOU had stated, and that was what we addressed the last time with amendment number 4, and so now we're looking, TART has covered all project costs to date. With this amendment, we are looking to have the township start using some of the $1 million that was allocated to the project.
And we have actually put it into our fiscal year 2026 budget in that way, that the 59.6, although I think I might have had 59.5, maybe I had 59.6, I can't remember, but that it would be pulling from that 1 million.
Happy to answer any questions or go into more detail or project updates.
So do you need it before the end of the year?
We are looking to have, OHM has been waiting for us to move forward so they,
Do we need what?
So they need the 59.6 before the...
no, not the money is up, just they're ready to start working, so it would be the same that we'd be receiving invoices potentially monthly.
Like we have.
I expect this would take us into, let's say, September-ish of next year, and then we anticipate next fall to have a whole new contract for construction administration for when we actually construct trail.
So what we've been doing to date so far with the agreements that we had was that OHM would do the work, they invoice us. Those invoices go to TART. They say, yep, that looks good. We then in turn pay them and then ask them to pay us, and they do so, and we've got those tracked. I think I have 1 or 2 I have to go back on, the most recent one.
So we would finish up into 268,800, I think was our...
Right.
So make sure we're paid through that, and then it would only be the 59,600 that
So
the township would start
The
picking up.
difference is now with this amount, we would just draw down from that $1 million.
So TARP would not reimburse us.
Correct.
We'd reimburse.
Correct.
Okay.
So to date, it's been all private funds covering project costs.
Any questions on that or the agreement? That's on page 79 in your packet. We do have a resolution for consideration. That would be Resolution 2025-33. And that would resolve that we would approve the professional services agreement amendment number 5 with OHM in the amount of $59,600, authorizing the supervisor to execute the agreement on behalf of the township. Are there questions or a motion?
This 33.
Yes.
I make a motion to approve Resolution 2025-33. That summarizes your long
Okay.
motion.
Is there support?
Support.
Okay. There's a motion by Bartlett and support by Cook for Resolution 2025-33. Is there further discussion? Okay, Ann, we'll do a roll call.
Just getting the correct financial amount. Okay. Bartlett.
Yes.
Cook.
Yes.
Walters.
Yes.
Quartade. Lyle.
Yes.
And Friend.
Yes. Okay, motion passes. With that, we will move on to the Crimson Trail Development. Thank you, Elizabeth, for being here. Appreciate it. Now, you'll recall that Crimson is the development that will be going in right up 3 Mile Road. That will be across from the Land Conservancy, and this is the one that we just did, the brownfield for, where we did similar funding in that brownfield plan, where we would have funds at the township to install some of the trail infrastructure. Claire, you want to take it from there?
Yeah, so similar to what we discussed last month for the Live East Bay development, we set aside funds in the approved brownfield plan. Township covers the costs and then gets reimbursed through the brownfield plan. I believe, Beth, that with this one, we are going to be reimbursed right
Right up
from the
front.
beginning. Yeah, so that's one difference. The other difference is that this will be a less expensive project. It will be more straightforward. We don't have the topography to contend with, and we have fewer easements. So really, we're just looking at the Klaus family, and then across the street, the Grand Traverse Regional Land Conservancy. Talked with both entities, Klaus, that property is zoned high-density residential. They're looking to further development for multifamily, so we don't see any issues with getting those easements. Basically, we would be taking the trail from the terminus right now, so with the Crimson development, they're building trail along in front of their parcel. So we'd take it from the terminus, north to the Land Conservancy entrance. We'd have a rapid flashing beacon crossing, and then the trail would just connect to the 3-mile trail. So I think this would be a huge benefit to the 240 units expected to be a part of the Crimson development, as well as the future high-density residential that's planned for that property along 3-mile. It connects them to the future 3-mile trail, to all the safe routes to school infrastructure, as well as the entire regional trail system for Tart Trail, take you into town and the Land Conservancy property. So I think you're going to have residents there wanting to access the property across the street no matter what. I think this facilitates a safe connection to that property.
We've also been in touch and communication with the Grand Traverse County Road Commission as well about this. They're aware of it. And I think they might have, they will definitely have something to say about the location, because I think they said they would pull it just a little south of the actual road entrance for safety, and then take that trail into the trail on the Conservancy property. Conservancy property, as Claire mentioned, was very supportive of this. And this will allay any phone calls of future residents who live in Crimson and then are upset because they can't reach the other infrastructure in the township, so.
My only concern, and maybe it's not a concern, it's just maybe I'm ill-informed, but I support this, except for the fact that I think we need to wait until Crimson starts to make sure that the funding that we need is actually there when it comes, because it's TIF funding. So, it's brownfield funding, and we need to make sure that the development actually happens so that the money is available.
I know go ahead.
Well, I guess I hear your point, that makes sense. I think one thing is we're hoping to expend limited amount of funds now so that we can, in tandem, put this trail in when the 3-mile trail phase 1 is going in, because that would allow for kind of a coordination with construction. But we could certainly delay it if the board's more comfortable with that.
We're looking at construction of 2027, correct? So Crimson should be breaking ground prior to that. So we could just delay it slightly until Crimson breaks ground. They still haven't raised their value, the amount that's going to cover it yet and everything else. But once we know that they've got bulldozers out there, they're not going back. They've already pulled their financing. They've already got the contractors. So that would be fine. We could bring that back. Just another note, we had the Live AE here previously, and as Claire mentioned, that was a little different because we had delayed reimbursement. And I think maybe it was you, Matt, that had the question on, hey, what if we design the trail and we don't put it in for whatever reason? Can we still get reimbursed for that? And Claire did talk with Ann Jamison, and when it is accurate, what she had told me a long time ago, because I was like, gosh, I wish we had known to ask for that funding up front with Live AE. And she said to me, oh, well, you don't have to wait for that. We can do an agreement with the Brownfield Authority that we can pull from their, exactly. So that's good, because then it makes it essentially like the Crimson. And yes, if we pay for the engineering and for whatever reason on the face of the earth we don't put in the trail, that engineering is still applicable for reimbursement. So those are good things to know. Was there anything else in there that you had found out too?
We could definitely look at wrapping in another brownfield plan with the Blue Water view, if that comes to fruition.
Yep, that's correct too. So, which will help with the funding, because we were probably a little worried about how much that one would be. So, Claire, do you see any issues that will tie this up, or maybe Elizabeth does, if we're waiting until they've got,
I think we can delay a few months. I think that, it will take time to do the, soil borings and wetland delineation and all of the kind of process that goes with the design engineering for the trail system.
at a very minimum, I think what we could bring, if we start to get to a point where it's like, well, we need to do something, and what we can get from the developer is their substantiated timeline from them, more than just, for.
Yeah. I think the exact, the easements and kind of the exact alignment with the rapid flashing beacon and how that ties into the Conservancy property, they're going to need to make some modification to their culverts. So I think it will take some time to do the design, but we can find out the timeline of the developer, and if they're breaking ground in 5 months or something, that seems like that would be fine.
We just need to not get too far ahead of ourselves, if
I think with the Live AE one, it's good that we're pacing ourselves on that one because of a couple things. One, that's connecting to the Safe Routes to School, and the other thing is we have the potential opportunity for the future brownfield that is looking at, a future development that is looking at utilizing brownfield going in that area too, to provide some adjunct funding, so. Okay, so shall we move on, and we'll bring this one back, and the Live AE, they may be on different tracks, but still.
Yep, that sounds good.
Okay, and we'll move on to the Coastal Management Program.
Okay, so this is a project that rose to kind of the top of the priority list through the Beach District visioning effort. It's a water access, pedestrian, we're calling it a pier. It could be more seasonal in nature, kind of depending on what the feasibility analysis comes back with, but a place where the public can have access to East Grand Traverse Bay. We're looking at putting a kayak launch there, seating area, so just a place where people can go out, get onto the water that might not otherwise be able to. They don't own a boat. They might have some mobility limitations. So there is a couple of renderings of what that might look like in your packet that was done through the charrette process. We have had good conversations with Grand Traverse County Road Commission about taking over this road end. We've had discussions with the Watershed Center, with other partners, just kind of about what that might look like. At this point, we received positive feedback from Coastal Management Program to put forth a grant application for the feasibility and construction engineering for this. And that was part of the reason is because they funded our community engagement process, so they had been kind of moving along through the process with us. We were actually on a webinar recently where they were talking about this funding opportunity, and they showed a picture of the pier and talked about, East Bay Township's beach district. So I do think we're well-positioned for this funding. We can ask for up to $150,000. We're required to provide 50% match. But a portion of that can be in kind, so staff time, our project partners, those types of things we can bill for, so it wouldn't necessarily be the full 50% cash match. We also are planning to bring a resolution in front of the Corridor Improvement Authority Board at their next meeting. And we anticipate, this project wouldn't begin for another year. So we anticipate that if we were awarded this grant, that we would be seeking the the cash match funding would come from the Corridor Improvement Authority Board and the TIF funding that we're looking at. So I did have just a slight modification to the way that I drafted the resolution under the resolved. I would like to recommend saying that East Bay Township approves submission of the grant application in the amount of up to $150,000 for the feasibility analysis and construction design engineering, and that the Board of Trustees commits to the 50% match. So I don't know that we're going to be asking for the full $150,000, but the assumption would be that the township would be providing that 100 or the 50% match.
And I do apologize, I did get an email this morning from a resident. I believe they were a resident. I can't say that for certain, but I think they were a resident who was not in favor of the pier because they felt it would bring trash to the area, and people, I would assume, and remembering what I read, like kind of loitering. And I was going to forward that on to the Corridor Improvement Authority, and then I got sidetracked with VC3 and, trying to get all of that done, and so I
have included that in their packet, because I received the same email, so it's in correspondence for their packet.
For the Corridor Improvement.
Yeah.
Okay, very good, thank you. Then I didn't need to worry about it. I was just thinking I missed that, so. Okay. Are there questions for Claire on this? This infrastructure or the grant and what the grant would do?
When is this grant application due?
It's due December 31st, but we anticipate hopefully getting it in sooner to allow for a little time off before the 31st.
You're going to be here?
Yeah.
I guess the question I have is why would the township put in $150,000 when it's the authority's project?
Yeah, so we anticipate that the funding would come from the Corridor Improvement Authority.
Okay, and when would you know if they're gonna,
Well, so we'll be looking for a resolution of support from the board at the next meeting, but in terms of when we'll know if we'll have the TIF in place, we will know that before this grant agreement is in place. With the coastal management program, the lag time is pretty significant, so we apply for this December of this year. The project wouldn't start, the grant agreement wouldn't be in place until a year later. So we're looking at
okay, how would we word this resolution that says that if the authority does not come up with a 50% match, we reject the grant?
I think what you would do is, the grant agreement, the development agreement comes back before you. And that's, again, not going to be for a substantial amount of time. So the board has the opportunity at that point to say, nope, we're not going to go into that grant agreement. I don't know that I would want to put this in the resolution, because this resolution is going to go to your decision makers. And I think that might confuse the issue, when it doesn't really serve any purpose in bolstering your ability to say no.
Yeah, but I think that's a fair assumption, and that was the assumption that I'm making too with putting this grant together, is that we would be moving forward if we had the funding mechanism in place through the Corridor Improvement Authority.
Okay, and when does the grant, when's the closing on the grant?
The due date, the application due date is December 31st.
Of this year? Oh, we don't wait till the last minute, do we?
No, this is a lot like the DNR trust fund. So like, it's due April 1st, you'll see a lot of those coming to the boards in March. And it's similarly like the DNR trust fund in that it takes a really long time. I was just talking to Nathan today about, we were talking about segment 1 of the 3-mile trail. And you just now approved the development agreement last month, I think it was. And that was applied for over a year and a half ago, more, it was, gosh, yeah, it was more than, right? So it was it was in April of 2024 that was applied for. So
Okay.
it takes quite a long time with the.
This is gonna come back, the grant's gonna come back before this board, before,
The development agreement.
okay?
If we are lucky enough to receive it. Yeah.
Other questions? Okay, this would be Resolution 2025-34. Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve Resolution 2025-34, approving the submission of the Water Resource Division grant application for the East Bay Beach District 4-mile public pier.
With the changes noted.
On the resolution, wording
Resolution.
changes.
Yes, with the
Up to and the 50.
changes on the number 1 resolved, up to 150,000, and with the board's commitment to the 50% match. It's kind of what you said.
That's exactly what I said. Thank you.
Support.
Okay, there's a motion by Bartlett and support by Cook. Any further discussion? Okay, we'll do a roll call vote, Ann?
Bartlett.
Yes.
Cook.
Yes.
M. Cortade. Walters.
Yes.
Lyle.
Yes.
And Friend.
Yes. Okay, very good. Thank you for your work on these projects.
Yeah, thank you.
Appreciate it. Okay, with that, we come to the fiscal year 2026 draft budget. You have seen this 3 times, but really in-depth 2 times. You saw a very generalized initial operational budget in, I think it was September, but then came back to you in October and in November, November, and then we had a special meeting on November 20th, that's correct. So with that, we do have in front of you the same materials. You have a resolution approving the General Appropriations Act, the East Bay Township COLA policy, the COLA and CPI information for this year. You have the resolutions establishing the township's officials' salaries. You have the resolutions establishing fiscal year 2026 wages. Also, resolution for the cost of permits, application fees, licenses. The public hearing notice, and the BS&A fiscal year 2026 printout with footnotes. There are just find it. Hold on 1 second. The changes, there have been no changes in the amounts, but there are changes in the way that some things were presented, so I do want to go through those with you. If you look at page 122 of 184, that's the first page of the budget that goes over the revenues. Again, I'll give you a second to get there. That's page 122 of the packet. And it goes through the General Fund 101-000. All of those line items, those are the revenues. This number, the 4680416, That has, that is lowered by, the last time you saw it, at the at the November 20th meeting, there was a $105,900 line item in transfers in. That's been taken out. Because it's still there, it's still being spent. What I was trying to show you in the November 20th was that those funds are there in fund balance to be spent. But truly, how we show it is not to show fund balance as a revenue. We show it as a use of expenditures over revenue. So that 105,900 has been taken out, but you will see that it is accounted for on page, let me find it. And perhaps I should have gone there first. Page 155. So on page 155, which is the end of the 101 general fund, it will show you the planned use of fund balance of $460,900. These are the capital items that are in this, this budget, or items that are being used from grants as well. So we have the $275,000 from the parks that was in there before. You're familiar with that. That's $225,000 for the Grace McDonald Parks circulation, ADA circulation and cornhole game. That is about ready to go to bid. So there's $25,000 in Pine Grove Park. Oh, look at that. There's a dollar sign in front of there, and there shouldn't have been. That is new features, redoing the basketball surface. It's a pretty low-level improvement, but I think it'll make a pretty big improvement to that park. It does not need engineering designs for it or anything like that, just some general improvements. And then the $25,000 for the Dunn's Park bathroom improvements we talked about, improving those fixtures, the flooring, and so forth. That's the $275,000. You have $50,000 for the beach district. We talked about that at the November meeting, that the consultant mentioned that it was recommended to front the corridor improvement authority by $50,000, and then that can be repaid if they do the TIF funding. So that is in there. $105,900 for the trails. There's the $55,900.
So that should be $59,600.
Should be $59,600. We got $300. On the $1 million commitment. I knew that last $100 amount was not.
Well, it's 59 and not 55.
Is it 59?
Yeah.
Okay.
I just pulled it up.
Great. What was it? 59,600?
Yeah.
Okay. So we can make that adjustment as well. And I'll come back to that in just a second. $50,000 for the Safe Routes to School grant funding was received in this year, but it will be spent in next year. So that would be a use of that fund balance. There's $30,000 in the elections department. And so if you take those and add them up, it is $460,900. Now, what I've done to make the $460,900 show exactly that amount as expenditures over revenues. We were actually a little less than that, meaning there were some extra revenues there, so I just put those into contingencies, and that's the only other number that you'll see that has changed. And that contingency number is, if I can lay my hand on that, it's probably about $7,000. Oh, I'm going the wrong way in the packet, that's why I can't find it. Yes, $7,190, that's on page 151. So I just put in that amount because it balanced it and showed you very nicely that of the amount that was there. Now, if that amount is, I had, $275,000 plus $50,000 plus 30,000 plus another 50 plus plus 59,600. Then we're actually at $464,600. Which is 3,700 more. So we would just reduce the 7,190 by 3,700. Okay? And then your revenues and appropriations that you see on that page 155, where it shows $460,000 and 900, it would then show the 464. 600. That was done to kind of balance that out and show very clearly what is being utilized for fund balance. All of the others are the same that you have seen, the 206, the 207, the 210, 135. Gosh, let me finish finding the list of them. 206, 207, 210, 230, 245, 251, 284, and 850 are unchanged. Let's see, we do have our, this was noticed, and you have that in your packet as well. The expenditure amount was just off a little bit, an error, just putting that in. However, I did talk with MTA, I talked with our legal counsel, and that public hearing notice, what you're really looking for is that doesn't change the millage rate. Okay, so the fact that we're slightly different on the expenditure number is fine. We're open and apparent and transparent about what that funding is for. And it does not change the millage rate of the, correct. Did I put that at the end of the budget, or did I put that in the front of it? Let me find that. The millage rate that's in the public hearing. I think I put it right before it. Yes, I did. You'll see it says .6778, and that is staying the same. Okay. Now, going through the items that are in there, you are aware of the COLA that we were using was 2.8% this year. And that has been added to the resolutions, as you've seen. And those have been adjusted. The wage resolution you guys have seen twice prior to this. The permits, applications, fees, licenses, and initial escrow, there are no changes recommended for those at this time. Claire did mention she had gone through those and they still looked pretty on par with other townships. And again, you have the public hearing notice and then the printout with the footnotes. With all of this, we would start with, we just had 34, if I'm correct. We do, but what will we start with? The 35, okay. So with that, we will open the public hearing at 8:10 and see if there is any public who would like to comment on the fiscal year 2026 draft budget. There's no public available, so we'll move forward with any board actions on this. Again, we would be starting with Resolution 2025-35. And the first for your consideration would be the resolution approving the fiscal year 2026 General Appropriation Act. This document is unchanged from last year as far as, and previous years, as far as what can be changed amongst line items or departments, and the fiscal reports. The only thing that's changed in here are the year numbers and the revenue and expenditure amounts.
I make a motion to approve resolution 2025-35, approving the 2026 general appropriation.
Is there support?
Support.
Okay, there is a motion by Bartlett and supported by Cook. Is there further discussion on the resolution or the associated budget?
I got a question before we get too far. What was this sheet that was out here? Something about Garfield's wages or something in East Bay?
Garfield did an update. They had somebody go out and do a wage analysis, like give them a report, and I think they updated their numbers, is what I understand.
Okay, so what did that have to do with East Bay?
Sue was just providing it for you. Yeah, I think Sue was just providing it for you, an updated one, because the had changed for Garfield. That's my understanding.
From the one that she provided earlier.
Do we need to do a wage study for East Bay?
You can or you cannot. I mean, that's up to the board. I do feel like we've spent a lot of time, I know I've spent a lot of time looking at what wages are within our region and within the state, and trying to resonate them with the duties that are in the job descriptions. I think what you typically you find with those is that we have some pretty low or reasonable wage rates, but I always feel like this board has been also content with, or how we have also accommodated for that is we also have very good benefits, as you know. We have, what is our retirement is 11%. So that's more than you will find in most places, and it doesn't require a match. We also have good health care, dental, vision. We pay for short-term disability and long-term disability. So.
Well, I noticed that through the year, it seemed like we keep coming back to, whether it's the fire department or some of the other places here, that we jump up the wages. And I guess I would like to see what the wage study, have somebody come in and do it, because I'm not sure that, we're picking certain things that need to go up, and we're competing with other townships.
So one of the things that we do when we adjust them is for competitiveness in the industry. We also, some stuff I've got here, hold on 1 second. Oh, I do have that thing that you also have too. Competitiveness in the industry, keeping wages so that we don't have other townships pilfer employees and so forth. Yeah, why don't I give you the copy of the Garfield wage study, and you can see what a wage study gets.
Oh, this isn't their
No,
stuff?
no. There's a report to it.
I would like to see a wage study. I asked for it 3 years ago, or whenever it was, 2020. And the comments were then was that things were in such turmoil that maybe we ought to wait till things shake out a little bit. Well, we've waited long enough, and I think it's time that we see what a professional says based on a non-biased opinion.
And that's fine. We'll have to put something like that in the budget and get prices for that, because we don't have that in there right now. But also, again, I would like to provide you with what Garfield Township just spent money on, so you can see if something like that is
Maybe I'm the only one that's thinking that, so.
Well, it
Oh,
doesn't.
well, yeah, I guess Matt came up with similar. I know that we've talked about it before, and I guess it just, when I see us raising somebody up, I don't know if it's within the wage for this type of work within a government setting in the Grand Traverse area. That's what I'm looking at, not what they pay in Detroit or Grand Rapids.
Yeah, so for example, let me just pick on one that I have in here this
Okay.
year, and that's like the assessor's department. And I had provided you with this document previously when I submitted that. And what that did was it showed a comparison amongst the local townships. And I also went on the MAA website and looked what their job descriptions are for, other places that are hiring. So kind of compared those. You can't really just take someplace, like you mentioned, down in Detroit, or even necessarily Grand Rapids. You have to kind of resonate that with what you're seeing locally as well, too. Yeah. So, okay, well, other questions regarding the resolution approving the fiscal year 2026 General Appropriation Act? Okay, we'll do a roll call then.
Bartlett.
Yes.
Cook.
Yes.
Walters. M. Cortade. Lyle.
Yes.
And Friend.
Yes. Okay, have the information of the COLAs in front of you. Now we have resolutions for the officers' salaries. And these will begin with Resolution 36.
Sorry, I gotta get caught up here.
Yep, no problem. And page 103 is the first one, and all of the salaries for the supervisor, treasurer, clerk, and trustees have been altered by have been increased by the 2.8 COLA percentage. So the Resolution 2025-36 would be a resolution establishing the township officer's salary for supervisor. With, at that amount, it is $79,593.
I'll make that motion.
Is there support? Okay, and is further discussion? The motion, I messed that up, sorry, guys. There's a motion by M. Cortade and supported by Walters to approve the Resolution 2025-36 for the township officer's salary for supervisor. Further discussion? And we'll do a roll call vote.
M. Cortade.
Yes.
Walters. Bartlett.
Yes.
Cook.
Yes.
Lyle.
Yes.
Friend.
Yes. Okay, we will move on to the next resolution, which would be 2025-37. This would be the resolution establishing the township officer's salary for clerk, and this amount with the 2.8% increase would be $75,477. Is there a motion for this resolution?
I'll make a motion to approve Resolution 2025-37, resolution establishing the township officer's salary for the clerk.
Support.
Okay. There's been a motion by Walters and support by Lyle for Resolution 2025-37 for the township officer's salary for clerk. Is there further discussion? We'll do a roll call vote.
Walters.
Yes.
Lyle.
Yes.
Cook.
Yes.
Bartlett.
Yes.
M. Cortade.
Yes.
Friend.
Yes. Okay, that motion passes. We'll move on to Resolution 2025-38. This is the resolution establishing the township officer's salary for treasurer with the 2.8% increase is $75,477. Is there a motion for this resolution?
I'll make a motion to approve Resolution 2025-38, resolution establishing the township officer's salary for the treasurer.
Is there support?
Support.
There is a motion by Walters and support by M. Cortade to approve Resolution 2025-38, the resolution establishing the township officer's salary for treasurer. Further discussion? We'll do a roll call vote. Ann?
Walters.
Yes.
M. Cortade.
Yes.
Lyle.
Yes.
Bartlett,
Yes.
Cook,
Yes.
and Friend.
Yes. The next motion is, I'm sorry, the next resolution is 2025-39. This is a resolution establishing the township officer's salary for trustee. With the 2.8% COLA increase, this would be $8,663. Is there a motion for this resolution?
I'll make a motion to approve Resolution 2025-39, resolution establishing township officer salary for trustee.
Is there support?
Support.
There is a motion by Bartlett, I'm sorry, a motion by Cook and support by Bartlett to approve Resolution 2025-39, establishing the salary for trustee. Is there further discussion? We'll do a roll call vote. Ann?
Let's see, where was I? Cook,
Yes.
Bartlett,
Yes.
Walters,
Yes.
M. Cortade,
Yes.
Lyle,
Yes.
and Friend.
Yes. Okay, next on our list, we have the resolution establishing the fiscal year 2026 wages. And this also does have the appendix attached to it, attachment A, that you've seen for the past few years. And with that, is there a motion to approve? Is there a motion to approve the resolution establishing the fiscal year 2026 wages?
I would make a motion to approve resolution 2025-40.
You're good. Yeah. Do you want the?
Go ahead.
Okay. Is there support, is there support for that?
Support.
Okay. Motion by Bartlett, support by Cook to approve Resolution 2025-40, the resolution establishing the fiscal year 2026 wages. Is that what you were going to say, Tracy?
No, that's exactly what I was going to say.
Okay. Further discussion? We'll do a roll call vote. Ann?
Bartlett,
Yes.
Cook,
Yes.
Walters, M. Cortade,
Yes.
Lyle,
Yes.
and Friend.
Yes. Okay. Holy mackerel, do you know what? Do I have the, oh, I do have it in here. I thought I forgot to put it in here, you guys. Yeah, 2020, I thought I forgot to put the resolution in there. I didn't see it at first. So this is Resolution 2025-41, page 115. And this covers the resolution for the fiscal year 2026 cost of permits, applications, fees, licenses, and initial escrow. Are there questions or a motion on this?
I make a motion to approve resolution 2025-41. Please.
Okay, is there support?
Support.
Okay, motion by Bartlett, support by Walters for the fee schedule. Further discussion? The only thing I'll say is it's tough with this one, right? Because you want to do small incremental increases, but it ends up with some wacky fee numbers that we don't always like calculating, right? So sometimes we will see a little bit more of like a segmented jump in these. And I do believe we had some updated last year, and so this year there is no increase in those. Any other questions, discussion? Okay, Ann, we'll do a roll call vote.
Bartlett,
Yes.
Walters,
Yes.
M. Cortade,
Yes.
Cook,
Yes.
Lyle,
Yes.
Friend.
Yes. Are we completely done with that? We are. I will say, when we opened the public hearing at, was that 8:10?
Yeah.
Is that correct? And no, you had no public. I did not say we closed the public hearing, but clearly we closed it if there's not anybody here to say
I got it.
anything. So we will just make sure that the minutes show that that was closed. Okay, with that, we will move on. We have the FOIA coordinator, so this is an agenda item, Freedom of Information Coordinator. The Taylor, the office manager, has taken some classes on it. Sue is interested in letting that responsibility go. Taylor has taken some classes, watched some webinars and so forth, and is working with Sue on some of the ones that have been filled this fall. So we would seek to appoint the office manager. I would say we'll do that, with her change to full-time, so maybe we just make it as of like January 1st or something like that. And then that way, any ones that are current right now, I know they have a big one that's going out, that it's closed out. So with that, if anyone has any questions, happy to answer them. If not, if there's does anyone move to appoint the office manager, Taylor Richards, as the Freedom of Information Coordinator as of January 1st of 2026?
I don't have a problem with Taylor, but I do have a problem with the last line that is suggested to amend her current job description. I really think it should be a job description for the position of Freedom of Information Coordinator, because it might not be Taylor next time, it might be somebody else, and so it shouldn't really be rolled into the office manager's position. It should be a separate job description that she takes on. I also think that when it's done, it should be attached to a dollar amount. That's been suggested by MTA for many, many years, that these extra duty things that everybody takes on really should be getting paid for. And so I would like to see a office or Freedom of Information Coordinator job description, and then a dollar amount to what is going to be assigned
Okay.
for doing it.
Okay, thank you for your perspective. Any other thoughts and questions? Okay, I will likely not bring that forward unless there is any other support to do so, because there are many other things that we take on that we don't have jobs for. So, for example, water, fire, that sort of thing. We don't carve those out. This is just one of those things that we do. We don't have to put it in the job description, that's fine. Taylor's clearly not looking for anything additional other than this will fit in her full-time time period that she's here. She is energetic and interested in doing it, and I appreciate her interest in taking on the responsibility.
Don't we already have a job description for a FOIA coordinator?
I think it's just in the formal documents that you have to have for FOIA that someone's appointed.
It's like, I thought we'd seen one before. I didn't look it up, so I don't know for sure.
So is there someone who would move to appoint the office manager to Taylor Richards as the Freedom of Information Coordinator as of January 1st, 2026?
Moved.
Okay.
Support.
Okay. Motion by Walters and support by Cook. Any further discussion? All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed by no? Okay, that motion passes. And we move on to the lift station force main project, notice of intent to bond. Oh goodness, I hope somebody kept track of those resolution numbers. Thank you.
42, I
think.
Yes, 42.
42? Okay, great. Because mine is buried somewhere back in here. Okay. All right.
Dan's keeping us honest.
Yeah, that's what I said.
Okay, well, thank you for those of you who were able to make that special meeting. Appreciated the presentation by Dawn and the questions from the board. So I did, following up from that meeting, contact Mark Nettleton and let him know that we were looking at bonding for 20 years and the amount. So we took the total maximum, the 16, whatever it is, and backed out the 2 million from each of the townships and thought we would put the amount to be bonded. He said, let's put it about 14 million. And we didn't count, obviously, there's grants in there. There's $3 million worth of grants. However, we don't have control of that money. What we do have control of with the two townships is the $2 million. I mean, we have control of it, and we can count on that. We can absolutely count on the other grants as well, but you see my point. it's not within our discretion. We submit for those. So with that, we would look at introducing a resolution to acquire and construct the capital improvements, publish notice of intent to issue capital improvement bond and matters related thereto, and he put the amount at, let me go back on this, $14 million for the project. And he said specifically to remind you that that does not mean that we are taking out a $14 million bond. That just means we have notified people that we could take out a $14 million bond. Up to that amount, correct.
It seemed like, if I remember correctly, we talked about, we got quite a bit of money in the sewer fund, and taking part of that, rather than bonding the whole thing.
And
Because, the interest we're gonna pay is gonna be big numbers. I realize when you get up to millions, but the other thing I had a question on, why do we not go through the county? And my reason to ask that, if we bond through the county, we can pay it off early. If we bond through a bonding agent, you can't, unless something changes.
so a couple things. First of all, your first question is completely warranted, which is about, how much we would spend from the sewer fund towards this project. And that's what was covered in the December 3rd board meeting, and I'd be happy to go over that with you and get a copy of the presentation from Dawn Lund. But what she basically shows is that we cannot keep our debt ratio where we need it to be if we're paying down, if we take more cash out of it. We have we have other projects that are coming due in the few years that we need to make sure that we plan for those as well. Don spent considerable time with Brian Sousa and also with, I believe, Noah, and going through those. So what we looked at was, we already said we would do $1 million, and I think we said at some point we'd consider like up to $2 million, somewhere in that range. And with the request of the bonding amount originally, and again, this part was covered on Wednesday too, but originally we had said 10 years, but one, it doesn't make, it tanks the ratios for the township, and it doesn't, and it doesn't they didn't have a ratio necessarily, but it hit their cash too much. Hit their cash flow too much. And also, it doesn't match the length of time that the infrastructure is good for. Oftentimes, you tend to get a more of a equitable match between those, not directly, but a little bit more than a 10-year bond and a 50-year or more infrastructure resource. So you can confidently pay over 20 years for something that's going to last over 50 years, that sort of thing. But I'm happy to provide the video for you and also her handout for you as well.
Well, and the meeting was taped, so wasn't that online?
Yep, that should be online.
No, you don't have to supply that for me. Just a question I'm asking.
Yeah. But the second part of the question you asked, what was the second part again? The county. We did not seek funding through the county for a couple reasons. One, we've bonded successfully before through the township. And I don't know that because it's through the county, it's whether you could pay off or not pay off. I don't know that that's truly the case. Because I know Don had...
We went through it.
Well, we did, but I
And that was
think
one
that's
of the
the way it
things.
was always done. I didn't know any better, because I've only done 2 bonding, and the first one was the water tower. I didn't know any better. And then the second one was the roads that we just, Canterbury and English Woods, since I've been here. We've paid off a lot of them, but we hadn't started any bonds, except for those 2. So I didn't know any better. I don't know that I don't know that I don't know what difference it makes, other than we were able to do it with our debt ratio and with our, what do they call that?
Cash flow?
No, our,
Credit rating?
yes, thank you. Our credit rating was high enough that we didn't need the county to pledge their full faith.
Well, and what I'm saying is what I remember, that we went through the county once, I think, didn't we?
With the water tower, we did.
Okay, but you could pay it off.
With the new water tower on 5 Mile?
Yes.
No, it's not that that's not the case, Glenn, I don't believe so.
Okay.
Yeah.
But we can
Because we
ask-
just looked into something about that,
Yeah.
and I
But-
think, yeah,
We can also verify that with the.
we sure can, yeah. We can. We'll talk with, just followed up with Andy to let him know that we had the meeting, and that Mark Nettleton had provided us with this resolution, and he inquired about, okay, how soon do you plan on selling the bonds? I communicated to him what Mark Nettleton encouraged us to do, which is to, have all of our cash in the pot, so to speak, when we're going to do the project. So, it doesn't have to be exactly perfect timing, like they put the shovel in the ground and it's the day before, but you see what I'm saying. So we'll have the bond, plus we'll have our $1 million or $2 million and Acme's $1 million, and we'll have that in a separate place, and then we will fund out of that. And then as soon as we get enough work done that we're past the $2 million and the $1 million from ARPA and the feds, then we will put in for the reimbursement for those.
Okay.
So.
My whole point was that if you went through the county and unless something has changed and you can pay it off early, you're not stuck paying that interest.
I don't think
I don't believe that's the case, but we did go through a refunding at one time.
But maybe that's what it was.
It was refinancing the bonds, so because the rates made sense, and
That's what it was.
it was joint with several townships, and some of them had funds that they could pay off their portion.
Yep.
So.
That's
that
what it
would be
was.
what it was.
Okay. I knew we went through it.
Sorry, it takes me a minute.
Hey, it doesn't get any better the older we get. But that was the whole point, rather than being stuck for 20 years, and maybe you could have paid the thing off in 10 years, but you can pay all that interest.
But that's the refunding process, which doesn't matter whether it's the county or us.
And actually, I think it was when I was talking to Mark, he said, I think it was Mark or maybe it was Dawn, one of the two, said that the question of the 1 million versus the 2 million may not make much of a difference, in that depending on how they structure the bond, especially if you're able to pay that off upfront more, they said then you can just choose to put in the second million whenever you want to. So that was a good piece of thought and advice from them as well.
Well, I thought Dawn mentioned something about that you would check into the fact if we could recall the bonds or not. And, because the time before, when we were talking, they said you couldn't. 'Cause that does make a big difference.
Yeah. It wasn't her that was going to check into it. She said Andy would check into it.
Whoever,
yeah.
but she mentioned it. I struggle a little bit with Dawn's presentation, because I kind of agree with Glenn still that we should pay down a little more. She's got a lot of numbers there, and you go through them all. But I didn't see anywhere in there that it mentions how much a 20-year bond would cost on an annual basis. It has a number in there of expenses, but it's not broken down by the bond and other things.
Well, she did include in that rate and the ratio paying for that bond on an annual basis. But what you're talking about is kind of the bond projection and the staging. Well, you get that from the bond agent, once you've decided what you're going to bond. So we'll.
Yeah, but she had to have those numbers in her projection, or else she couldn't have
Well,
projected it.
Sure, of course. All she did was take the amount over 20 years and apply the interest rate. I mean, you can do that. Okay, with this, we do have, the earlier resolution was linked in your packet, and you do have the email in here from Mark Nettleton. So this would be resolution number 42. Correct, 42. Is there a motion on this resolution which would acquire and construct capital improvements, publish notice of intent to issue capital improvement bonds, and matters related thereto?
I would make that motion. Resolution 2025, 42.
Okay. Motion is made by Bartlett and supported by Walters. Is there further discussion?
Well, I'd just like to make the comment that this, we all agree, I think, that this has to happen. I mean, we don't have much choice. I don't quite agree with the logic that we got to go talking about 14 million, and I know it's just a settling number. But anyway, that kind of scares the heck out of me if that's the way it would work out. So, but anyway, I agree.
Well, these are very intricate systems, very expensive systems, and the infrastructure is very expensive. This is a proactive project. The township doesn't have to choose to do anything with this project, but we also run at risk some of the breaks and even greater breaks that we've experienced. So I do think the township is protecting against any future calamity that could happen. And that's not to say.
Without sewer.
A lot of people that sort, and that's not to say we won't have one during this.
Right.
I mean, it's very important what Joe Slonecki was talking about in their plan for emergency management in this. Okay, with that, any further discussion? Okay, we'll do a roll call vote.
Bartlett.
Yes.
Walters.
Yes.
M. Corte. Cook.
Yes.
Lyle.
Yes.
And Friend.
Yes. Okay, very good. We'll move forward with getting that together. This is the second opportunity for public comment, and this has been so fascinating that we have.
We drove them all away.
I know, but we do know that people watch, so that's a good thing. Let's see, upcoming meeting dates. I did set a December 30th at 5 PM. I just did that so that we're right at the time.
Yep.
And that's really just for budget amendments as we go through. We do that every year. If we don't have any, we cancel it. January 12th, there's a typo that I was reminded of today. 2026, not 2025. We are not going to travel back in time. So January 12th is our next regular board meeting at 6:30 PM. So if there are no objections, then we stand adjourned. Thank you, everybody.
How's your dad? Is he home?